So this is a mock-up of Michael Abels' Pas De Duex from Jordan Peele's movie Us. I hope you enjoy it and stick around afterward to hear a little bit of the walkthrough. So what I'd like to talk about with the mock-up is first what went well, and second what I think in this mock-up went not so well. Now, the first thing that I really think went well with this particular mock-up, and I think this holds up, if you listen to the original and you listen to the mock-up, this almost sounds identical. What I've done here is I've really just listened to the sound design as best I can and just try and mimic it. So I'm going to give you just a little excerpt right here. I love this part. Let me talk a little bit about what I'm doing here. The first thing that I noticed as I listened to this was really just simple white noise, which I went online, I looked up white noise, and I downloaded a file for white noise. There's a ton of them. That white noise is so in your face. Now, I've kind of added some plugins here. I'm really honestly not sure if they're doing much of anything. Let's take a listen to one. I think this is gonna blast your left ear real quick. But, so, that's with the plugins. Without the plugins. Yeah, so it's doing something. It's kind of muddying it up just a little bit, and it's bringing it into more compacted space. It's taking some of the high end out. And so specifically all I'm trying to do is really match the tone and timbre of what I'm hearing. Now, what is the rest of this? One of the things that has been really helpful for me to learn as a composer with like sound design type of stuff is a lot of times I try and do things with samples and I should be doing it with audio. This is a great example. This sound, which is one of the main sounds of this part, that would be so hard to do with trying to build it on a synth patch. I mean, I'm sure there's people who are incredible and can do that, but that would be really difficult to do. What's easier for me to do is to layer these sounds. I have a big impact sound. I have a kick sound. I have a big distorted hit. A weird white noise whirly thingy. So I've got all of these different sounds that I'm kind of layering up because ultimately at the end of the day I'm just trying to make it one, sound like the recording, and if I was composing this on my own I would just be trying to make it sound good, and I would add things until it sounded good, and then maybe I would take things away until it sounded better. And so all I'm doing really is I'm finding these audio hits. There's a lot of bespoke audio stuff. You can look it up on freesounds.com. There's a lot of different places where you can find these sounds. Then next, what do I think went well? I think the ensemble size of the string orchestra went really well. Specifically, so for me, for my money, that sounds like about the ensemble size that you hear on the recording. Does it sound exactly like the recording? Of course not. But it's matching the general tone that you hear, not the tone, just the size of the group. And the way that I'm doing that is by layering two libraries. And those libraries are Sable and Cinematic Strings. That's not even Cinematic Studio Strings like the new one. This is the old like Cinematic Strings 2. It's a fantastic library, and I think it's still for sale for pretty cheap. But if you're looking for a great emotional library, if you can learn how to use Cinematic Strings too, I mean, it's great. Junkie XL posted on his Mad Max breakdown of the Furiosa theme. It's this library, CS2. It's just really fantastic. And all I'm doing is I'm layering these two things, and I'm adjusting the volume slightly on both. Let me pull this up here. I'm adjusting the volume slightly on both, and the volume is expression, which is CC11, continuous controller 11, and I'm just adjusting the volume very slightly until the ensembles sound like they belong together. It's not, if I don't adjust the volume at all, then they're too loud. They're too loud to be basically like in the same room together, which is fine if you're looking to bump up a part or something like that. But you have to be sensitive if you've already, like built your template, or if your orchestra already kind of sounds like it's together because you've got a bunch of sample libraries that sound generally good together. If you're layering parts, you're going to have to bring the volume down, or you're going to get really weird kind of things going up and down on volume. And so, for my money, I'm happy with how this sounds. So now what I want to talk about is what I thought could have been better about this piece. A lot of really talented folks post mock-ups, but I think out of fear for being discovered as a fraud, which I definitely am, they don't always talk about what didn't go so well. They like to present their stuff in the best light, which I completely understand. But I think it could be a great learning experience for me to talk about, like, what doesn't sound great in this, and what's really not working for me as of yet, and I don't know how to fix it just yet. And I think one of the best examples here is in these sections where the strings are actually starting to play kind of these staccato things in arco, which is when they're bowed. So let me, right here, let me play this for you. So that sounds okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you listen to the recording, what they're doing is this wonderful thing where they're putting a ton of vibrato on the note, and it's kind of a soft attack but a hard hit. And when you get an entire orchestra doing that, it's just this great effect that sounds like these old classic, Hollywood film scores. And it's this wonderful thing. A ton of vibrato, a soft attack, but a really strong note. That's not really an articulation that exists in a lot of libraries. That's something that you kind of work out with an orchestra. So other than doing what I did in one section, which was a very important section for me to do that in my personal opinion, which is this, I literally automated the notes in. It was a short attack, but I automated the attack of the notes, which took way too much time, and I wasn't about to do that for every staccato note of the entire song. So you can hear it kind of slowly falling in, right, instead of ta 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 ta, which most staccato samples are, because what do most people use staccato samples for? Things like this. But then sometimes when you write something for orchestra, they just attack it a slightly different way than you would just with a sample. So I don't know how to fix this. If anybody's got any great ideas for how to fix this, what I've done is kind of a workaround. I've just done whatever sounds best on the samples. I want it to sound real rather than right, or at least as real as I can make it. I don't want it to sound correct and bad. And that's what a lot of mock-ups unfortunately end up doing, is like, oh, that sounds like the song, but it also doesn't sound good. It should probably rather sound good and differ from the song, the piece of music, just a little bit. So I hope you've had a fun time checking out this mock-up with me. I had a great time making it. Feel free to drop any questions in the comment section. Subscribe. I'll absolutely do more of these. Tell me what pieces of music do you want me to mock up? What do you want to learn about? I'd love to answer any questions. And in the meantime, compose well and have fun.